It ain't just wide open, it's WFO.
Hey, this is Jeff Rice, deep and hot from up by Savannah, Georgia. I just wanted to let you guys know that WFO rules.
Joe, this is Jay Bird, truck driver from Big Bear, California.
WFO rocks.
Oh, don't forget, WFO rules the airwaves.
WFO!
All right, we're going to get started with our post-race media availabilities for today's 1000bulbs.com 500. We are joined by our third-place finisher, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., driver of the number 17, Sonny D. Ford. Ricky, why don't you just take us through that final restart and overtime there for us?
Yeah, Hello? Gotcha. We were lucky enough to have pitted a little bit before that, so we had plenty of fuel, which was nice. I was hoping all of them were going to run out, and that didn't happen. So we got a good run to the outside of the 21, I believe. Got up into third there, down the back straightaway. Was able to get to second there, and then was hoping Clint was going to stay in line and see if we could catch the 10, getting back to the start-finish line. But I left the door open just enough on the bottom to let Clint get to the inside of us, and then neither one of us had a shot to catch the 10 car at the start-finish line. But all in all, from the way our day started and all the adjustments we made, we'll definitely take that result, but not pleased at all with the speed that we had today.
All right, we'll open up to questions for Ricky. Please raise your hand. We will get a wireless microphone to you. We'll go up to the press box. All right, we'll go to Jenna.
Ricky, how were the SHR cars able to stay lined up and work together like that all day?
I'm not real sure. Obviously they had it choreographed to restart really well. And once they got in line, they just brought a lot of speed to the racetrack. But I feel like even when you see like the Penske cars and some of the other cars, they're not able to stay up front that dominant. So they definitely did their homework and came back. They used to not qualify very good, and obviously they've went to work on their speedway cars. I'm sure Tony Gibson's probably doing a good job at doing those, and he's an ace when it comes to that. So. Their cars were just really fast, and they were committed to working together and blocking people at the right time. And then, you had all of us other Fords running roadblock there at the end, and those four were just getting away. So it was pretty impressive to watch for sure.
We'll come over here to the left.
Yeah, Kurt's car looked like it was off. It was kind of skewed to get the air off the right spoiler. Had your team at all tried any?
Yeah, we run
drastic?
our cars, on the, like we go to Kansas next week, and our cars will all be, you want your right rear, as far out as you can get it. Here at the Speedways, it's a balance of, getting your car skewed to the left, but also having a car that handles well. Unfortunately for us today, we didn't really have a car that handled very well, and we didn't have a ton of speed. So, They definitely were pretty aggressive on getting their cars to have a lot of speed, and we'll just have to go do our homework and get better. Obviously, the package is going to change next year, and we'll see if we can catch up with that.
Follow-up: did you think, or when the car got into the wall right there before at the white flag, were you expecting a caution?
My spotter was expecting a caution. He told me to keep racing, and so we raced until the yellow comes out, and he said they were going to let us race it back to the line. So I was excited about that, knowing that we still had an opportunity to get a win. So I didn't see exactly where the wreck happened, and so I don't really know. My spotter did think the caution was going to come out though.
Anything additional for Ricky? We'll go right here.
Kaylee Cicero, the Prowler Stars Mill High School. How do you think that the Stewart-Haas cars were able to find such an advantage over the other Ford cars?
Yeah, all of our Ford cars are really good. Doug Yates builds, great horsepower, but, I don't know. I felt like, us and the Penske cars probably had the better Ford cars for a while, but that definitely changed today. They stepped up their game, and I'm not sure exactly what they did. I'd like to know, but they were definitely the class of the field all weekend.
Thank you.
Anything final for Ricky? All right, Ricky, thanks for joining us today. Good
Thank
luck
you.
next week in Kansas.
Hey, guess what? I didn't crash anybody.
We're going to continue with our post-race media availabilities for today's 1000bulbs.com 500. We are joined by our second-place finisher, Clint Bowyer, driver of the number 14, Cummins Rush Truck Centers Ford. We will open it up to questions for Clint. Please raise your hand. We'll get a wireless microphone to you. We'll go to Zach in the middle. Right there in the middle.
Zach Albert, NASCAR.com. Clint, it sounded like lining up for that last restart, you guys are a little confused. Are we sticking to the strategy, or are we going to be able to orchestrate? Was it going to be every person for himself? Had it shaken out that way? Or
it was going to be until you start the day off, and our cars were so well together. I mean, even if you're me, it's like, well, what's our best situation here? And I, went to let him in. Then he ran out of gas. So it wasn't the best of situations for ourselves. But had I not have done that, maybe I probably would have won the race. But, I was happy for Aric. He had that race won last week, and it was me that brought out the caution. So I feel like he got a real redemption there, and I was happy that we finished second. I think it was second, and second as far as our day went. We needed to be a little bit better, but, man, you can't say enough. I mean, I don't think you can write enough about the job that everybody at Stewart-Haas did. Those cars were so fast. I've seen other guys, other teams, other organizations put that together before. The Hendrick organization's been there before. The Gibbs cars have done that before. It was our turn, you know what I mean? The Penske cars have done that before. We finally, got all four cars, to the cream of the crop, and oh my gosh, was it awesome. To be able to work together like that, we could hold on, and they get some runs on you and everything else, but as long as you held your ground and stayed disciplined and followed and stayed in line, we'd prevail. It seemed like our cars not only were fast, they handled good. At the end of the runs, we would start stretching it out on them. The Penske cars were the second best, and then the rest was racing for whatever position after the our two Fords. Can't say enough about Ford Performance, a job that everybody does there. It's a good day to be in a Ford. I mean, it's all you can say about that is a hell of a day to be in a Ford. Every time you looked in the mirror, all you saw was blue ovals in a line.
Stay here to the middle.
Mike Massey with FrontStretch.com. Clint, if that had stayed green at the end, what was the plan?
Well, I was going to try to drag back and, get a gap and get a run on Kurt. I mean, that's all you could do. I tell you what, it's crazy how easily your emotions, can change. I went from being that greedy to that thing started choking, going into one, coming to the green. I was like, you got to be kidding me. I knew I saved a little, but I really honestly thought after the day we've had, you just, every time a day goes that easy, you're always looking, you got your dukes up, wondering where that haymaker's coming from. And when that thing started choking and running out of gas, I knew that was it. That's about my luck. It's about typical. But it didn't happen. It made it to the end, and, two of my teammates didn't. So we was lucky.
Any additional questions for Clint? Over here.
Kaylee Cicero, Starsmill High School, the Prowler. When I talked to you yesterday, you said that you'd want to be racing Kevin Harvick for the win out of your teammates. You almost got your wish. Can you describe for me the teamwork that we saw in Stewart-Haas racing today, and not only on the track, but back in the shop?
Well, when you the teamwork starts in the shop, and that's where you unloaded four fast Fords that ran up front all weekend long, qualifying the whole race, stages, first stage, second stage, the end of the race. It was us. It was Stewart-Haas Racing having our day. And, yes, I mean, I knew going into the race that somehow, some way, I needed to be, the Fords are the ones that I'm going to have to be racing for this next round of 8. Some way, shape, or form, I got to get separated from those guys. But the way our cars took off and handled and drafted and had more speed than the rest, and even endured that speed through the distance of a run, I knew our best opportunity was to stay together, and that's what we did. And I think the performance of our cars just kind of painted that picture for us and put ourselves in that position, and we did a good job of being disciplined and taking care of one another on those restarts. The 9 car slammed me and knocked me up that one, and it pushed me past the hole. By the time they were already it was already by me by the time 41 went down, but I got back in, as soon as we went to 1 and 2. But just extremely proud of the effort. That was the easiest Talladega I've ever had in my life, and it was because of the speed, that we had in our race cars. I remember some guys that had races like that over my career. I remember one guy, he's doing TV now, and I always was envy of him. Sometimes his car was just so fast, it didn't matter where he did. You could do whatever, and you really couldn't mess it up. And that's how fast our cars were today. You could rebound no matter what hole you put it in. You could rebound and get back up on top.
Thank you.
We're going to go upstairs to the press box and then to Jenna.
Yeah, Chris Knight, TechSense.com. Clint, I was just wondering if this orchestration could work at Daytona, or did it make it easier because the track was a little bit bigger today?
I don't know. Possibly. It's a good question. Maybe. The track's bigger, but the strengths in numbers, it always is. It doesn't matter if you're on a mile and a half or what you're doing in racing. The strengths in numbers, and when you can put all 4 cars, built together and unload with that much speed, and they find each other and stay with each other throughout the whole race, the success is there. That was awesome. I was so proud of and just happy for everybody at Stewart-Haas. I know everybody back home is pumped. It sucked that Kevin and Kurt run out of gas, because the 1, 2, 3, 4 would have been pretty awesome for everybody involved, because that's what they deserved.
We were going to go to Jenna.
I forgot what I was going to say. With 2 or 3 to go before that caution came out, in your head, what would you have done? You were in second at the time.
Well, here's the thing you always got to be, conscious of is that if the white flag comes out and a caution comes out, the race is over. And you always got to have that back in the back of your mind, and that's the gamble. If you're in second, you got a chance to lag back and get a run on him and push. Do you wait till it's off of 4 or coming down the front stretch where he knows it's coming? Do you, as big a lead as we had, we probably could have went a little bit earlier, or do you, as soon as you cross the flag, do you go then? You know what I mean? That's the gamble there. Is I've been on both sides of that. I'd waited too long and a caution come out and miss it, and I've also took off knowing that if it did come out, I would be the benefactor, and I was. That's the gamble that you really have to kind of play in your head and try to figure out what you want to do. But at the end of the day, you got teammates behind you. You got a teammate there. If I lagged back and got a run, I'd say the car behind me was forced to go with me because of the momentum, and maybe the next guy would go to the bottom just because of his pull that he has. So it had probably been a side-by-side 4-way, fight for the end. That's probably what happened. Yeah, there was no – what happened today was just cooperation. We all talked about it in the meeting and everything else, and it's like I said in the meeting, I think we owe it to each other to pit with one another, to try to help one another. More than likely, when we're with one another, that's going to be our best bet at stage points and everything else. But after the frustrating run that we had in Dover, I had to gain some points. I had to make sure that I got good points, but it didn't do any good to get good stage points if the guys that I'm racing for this next round do it as well. I had to get separated some way, shape, or form, and I mean, that guy sitting in victory lane right there, as happy as I am for him, that's a spot that just went away for that next round. So we got to go home to Kansas and take care of business, and I think we can do that. We needed an opportunity here. This place is, for whatever reason, has always been pretty good to me in the last a long time. Like 5 or 6 times I've wrecked out here, and I was just, for whatever reason, I came here. I had a good feeling that maybe I was due for a good race, and certainly we were. But as far as the whatever, no, there wasn't any. I mean, I could have took off and ran side by side with Kurt on that last restart. But honest with you, I thought our best chance to get away and have a shot at winning was probably do what we'd been doing the whole race. I mean, my spotter was kind of saying the same thing.
Any additional questions for Clint? All right, Clint, thanks for joining us. Good luck at your home track next week.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to continue with our post-race media availabilities for today's 1000bulbs.com 500. We are joined by Greg Zipadelli, the competition director for Stewart-Haas Racing, with the race-winning team, the number 10 Smithfield Bacon for Life Ford. We will open it up to questions for Greg.
Free bacon for everybody.
We'll start with Jenna and then go to Jim.
I've investigated this. Nobody won bacon today. It goes till the end
I
of the
will
year.
get you bacon.
I'm good, thank you. I've done some investigation. But how did you get these 4 guys to work together the entire weekend, to stay in line like that? Had that last caution not come out, you could have gone 4 wide across the finish line.
That'd have been cool, huh?
Except unless they all wrecked.
Yeah.
But yeah. But how did you get that sort of cooperation?
I think after last week, we didn't do a great job executing as a group because we could have had the same results. We just talked a lot about it, and I just looked everybody in the eye and said we need to help each other. We need to work together like teamworks. We need to show everybody that we are teammates. And I felt like our cars were strong enough that if we did that, we would have a very strong day. I mean, obviously we came in here with the 10 and the 14 needing stage points. Everybody executed that perfectly. And then, at the end of the race, it was let's do everything we can to help each other. Everybody knew the circumstances. Hats off to drivers and crew chiefs. Nobody was selfish today. Everybody looked out for each other, and that's a great feeling as far as from my perspective. We pay these guys every week, honestly, to be selfish, take care of themselves, run as hard as they can, and finish up as high as they can, win as many races, and everybody gave and take, today. So that was a very proud moment for Stewart-Haas. Man, I don't know, that 41 was strong, and he towed that group pretty fast. So I think they were planning on trying to if we got away and letting them race it out. It just obviously didn't come to that. But couldn't be prouder of that group for executing like they did today and giving and taking and having consideration for their teammates.
We're going to go to Jim and then Jerry and then Bob.
Jim Utter, motorsport.com. Obviously, Aric has come close so many times this season, and I know it's probably been frustrating at times for him. What does it feel like after all of the wild ending that he were to be the one that ends up on top?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I mean, I don't know how many of you know Aric. I knew him, but not like I do today. And he's one hell of a kid. He's a class act. He's been a breath of fresh air to our group. He works really hard. Listens to other drivers. When he speaks, everybody listens because whatever he says, he feels confident in what he's sharing with our group. So to see those guys have opportunities this year, and for them to keep their chin up and continue to fight all day and end up here in victory lane, locking them into the next round, I couldn't be prouder for him. Johnny with his first win as a crew chief, it's pretty cool.
We'll go to Jerry.
Jerry Jordan kicking the tire set here, and I want to bounce off of Jenna's question just a little bit. You said you had to sit them down and talk to them and say, hey, we need to go out there as teammates and make this happen. With all your Type A personalities on all those 4 drivers, who's the hardest one to get to play together?
No, honestly, we talked about it this week in our meeting, and we talked about it here after our practice debrief, and it wasn't lecturing. It was simply let's look at the big picture. It's good for our for our company to help each other and to have as many cars as we can move to the next round. It's pretty simple. Everybody, honestly, they did a great job. They couldn't have asked any more out of them.
We'll go up front to Bob.
Bob Pockris, ESPN. I have two, Greg. First off, did you know that the way you had your cars built this weekend, coming into the weekend, that really nobody else had that type of kind of skew and ability to do what you guys did?
Well, I mean, you go back to Daytona 500. We had 4 cars that were capable of winning, and Aric was a half a lap from winning. So you go to, to Talladega here. You go to Daytona. We've had really good cars that run up front. We just have not been able to put it all together. So we've been working on little details. It was, honestly, there's not a lot. The 2 of the cars that were here raced in Talladega in the spring race, and we just fluffed on them. They came out of here with good finishes, and we worked on them. I think everybody felt like we had good cars. We always have good motors. Doug and his guys do a phenomenal job everywhere, but when it comes to restrictor plates, they really step up to the plate.
And Kurt was kind of hoping for a caution on that last lap when that wreck happened. I was curious, when you're watching it, and you see them crash in the back, are you like, throw the caution because you know that your car would probably win, or are you like, let's play it out, I want to see how it does?
No, I mean, honestly, I didn't really see the replay. I just knew they wrecked and was expecting to hear the caution, and never did. But, we've been in that situation before where one of our cars didn't win. Me as a parent, you love all your kids. I got 4 of them that I have to love and care for. So I'm proud that we were in a situation that we were and somebody else capitalized on it. Usually in the past, other people have capitalized on situations like that with us. So, Aric and Johnny, it's been a long time coming. They've had a few opportunities this year that were really strong, and things just didn't go right at the end. So finally, it came around to them, and couldn't be happier.
Go to Matt.
Matt Weaver for Autoweek. This is for Greg. I think this was Jerry's question too, to a degree. But do you have the meeting with just the crew chiefs and then they relay the information to the drivers? Or do you have like a big powwow with everyone involved?
No, we just have our regular competition meetings on Tuesday where we all sit in a room and we talk about our weekend and we talk about the next weekend. And then we have a debrief after practice where we're all crew chiefs, drivers, and myself are in there, and engineers, and we just talk about our cars and what everybody's going to do, and no different than I think anybody else in the sport. So it wasn't there was nothing special. It was just simply let's work together, and they did, and I think they all saw the strength of them working together.
Come over here to the left.
Kaylee Cicero, the Prowler, Stars Mill High School. I checked the stats, and 2005 was the last time that a Ford team with 4 more cars had all of their drivers win in the same season. So what does that say about Stewart-Haas's team this year?
I think that says we've got 4 good drivers, 4 good crew chiefs, and a great manufacturing from their backing, and near 400 employees that come in and work hard every day. I mean, honestly, that's all it is. We've got really good people that have a lot of heart and passion. We've got a lot of racers that show up before they're supposed to at 7 o'clock and never leave before 4. And they don't need to be asked to stay to get that little bit extra done.
All right, Zippy, thanks for joining us, and congratulations on the win.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
We are joined by our race winner, Aric Almirola, driver of the number 10 Smithfield Bacon for Life Ford. We will open it up to questions for Aric. Please raise your hand. We will get a wireless mic to you. Start in the front with Bob.
Bob Pockris, ESPN. When during this race do you realize that the Stewart-Haas cars just have something that nobody else has? And are you already can't wait for the Daytona 500 next year?
Pretty much. I knew when we qualified that when all 4 of us starting up there in the front, we kind of talked about it in our competition meeting that we needed to be committed to each other. We needed to score as many stage points as we can. We needed to score more stage points in the 12. We needed to score more stage points in the 42 and the 88. We knew all that. And so going into the weekend, that was our focus, was to be committed as an organization to doing everything we can to help each other, and making sure that we continue to get points, especially for Clint and myself being in the situation that we were in going into this weekend. And then when we qualified top 4, all of us together, I knew that all 4 of us were gonna be tough to beat, and we were gonna have really fast race cars. And we've been chasing those Penske cars. We talked about it in here Saturday. We've been chasing Penske at the restrictor plate races. They've been able to do somewhat of what we did today, where they get out front, and Brad and Joey and Paul and Blaney, get organized and basically dominate the race. And today we were able to do that. We stayed so committed to each other. We worked every restart out to where we stayed committed to each other and got in line. And it was us against the field. And when we started to drive off from the field in that first stage, as the stage went on, I knew we had something special. I knew one of our 4 cars was going to win. And just by, happenstance that we were the ones that qualified 4th, I kept being the 3rd or 4th guy in line. And it was like, man, this is nice that we're all 4 running together, but I'm scoring less stage points than Bowyer, and I'm racing him in points. And eventually we're going to have to try and win this race, or we're going to have to separate and start fending for ourselves. And that opportunity, honestly, never really presented itself. It seemed like the way the race played out, where there was such long green flag runs, that we would get committed to each other. And then as we would drive away from the field, me being the 4th guy in line, I never really had anybody behind me to help me make a move on my teammates. So it was an incredible day for us as an organization at Stewart-Haas Racing, and I am so proud and so thankful for the opportunity to be driving these race cars.
We're going to go to Kaylee, Christian, and Matt.
Kaylee Cicero, the Prowler, Stars Mill High School. Yesterday when I talked to you, you described racing here like a high-speed chess match. And in the 3rd stage, you fell behind early, and you had to work your way back up through the field. Can you describe what it was like getting back up to the front like that?
Yeah, well, we're in a position where we came into this weekend needing to score all the stage points we could. So when that caution came out at the end of stage 2, we had to stay out. We had to stay out to score points, and that gave a lot of the cars behind us an opportunity to pit and have fresh tires and be full of gas, and to not pit when the stage ended. So when we came off pit road at the end of stage 2 to begin the final stage, we weren't with our teammates. We had to race a lot of cars in front of us that were that were on a different strategy than us. And at that point, it just came down to us having an incredible race car. I was able to kind of maneuver my way through the pack and make some moves and get up towards the front. And I think at that point, I knew we were, as an organization, we were going to be able to get all 4 of our cars back together, and all 4 of us ended up back there together. Just because of how strong our cars were, and we were able to kind of lead the field again and start to separate ourselves. So, yeah, I thought this race, honestly, was a little bit less of a chess match and more of an organizational commitment. And it started probably months ago with, we have a group of guys that this is all they do is work on speedway cars all year long. Develop, get better, and like I said, we've been chasing Penske for years now. They have been the dominant team when we show up to restrictor plate tracks, and we've tried a lot of different things with aero stuff and just different things, and we've not been able to hit on how to beat them. And I think this weekend we finally came up with a package and a plan, and we stayed committed to each other, and we were able to outrun them.
Go to Christian and then Matt.
Christian Coley, frontstretch.com and the Motorsports News Source. Aric, with your win today, you become the 12th driver to win both an Xfinity race and a Cup race at the Talladega Superspeedway. Can you comment on how you kind of use some of the things you got out of those victories in the Xfinity to wind up in victory lane today?
I don't know. I came here in a truck race with Billy Ballou, and I had Kyle Busch as a teammate, and I raced here. I had no job that year and was out of a ride, and Billy let me run a handful of races that year, and I came here and Kyle beat me by an inch, and I led a lot of that race, and that race was kind of the race that, for me, something clicked about Talladega. I learned some things in that race, and from that point forward, I've always showed up to Daytona and Talladega with the mindset that this is going to be fun. A lot of people show up here and they're frustrated that they're racing with restrictor plates. They're frustrated that we're pack racing, and they come here with the wrong attitude, in my opinion. But I show up to these tracks anxious but excited and feeling like I've got an opportunity. And, I think when you look at my career, I've won an Xfinity race at Daytona. I've won an Xfinity race here at Talladega. I won my first Cup race at Daytona, and now I've won my second Cup race at Talladega. Now I want to start. I'd like to win at some of these other tracks, so that way people don't just say, "Oh, well, he's just a good restrictor plate racer." But today was sweet to go to victory lane in such a clutch moment in the playoffs, down 10 points coming into this weekend, and knowing that this was an opportunity race for us. Winning here today was really special, and like I said, I can count on my hand 5 or 6 races that I feel like we maybe should have won this year, and it didn't work out and didn't happen. And today the good Lord was shining down on us, and we were able to go to victory lane. So this is a special day.
We're going to go to Matt, up to the press box, and then to Michael.
Matt Weaver, Auto Week. Now that you've checked a race win off the box this season with SHR, are you pretty much where you thought you and the team would be, signing with Stewart-Haas and going through a full season?
Honestly, I feel like we're exceeding expectations. I feel like we're exceeding, your expectations, the media. I feel like we're exceeding probably even Tony Stewart and Gene Haas's expectations. I went into this year feeling like if we can just run top 15 and be consistent and not make any mistakes all year long, we could maybe make the playoffs. And that was a goal for us. And then, I've got a new team. I'm new to the organization. My crew chief, Johnny's first year being a crew chief. We've got a lot of young guys on our team, and I really feel like we're built to grow. And as the year has progressed, I feel like we just continue to get better and better and better, and I feel like we haven't even reached max potential. I feel like there's so much more room to grow for us and to get better, and that's what's so exciting for me to see that we're not at the ceiling yet. We're still young and new in this whole team, and so I feel like we're way ahead of our expectations. But I knew that I was going to be given this opportunity to have fast race cars. And I knew that if we did the things that we needed to do, and if we brought cars capable of running up front, and if I pulled my weight, that we would have opportunities to win. And that's been one of the most frustrating things for me, is to watch all my teammates win races, and for me to get close so many times and not win. I felt like I was letting our team down and our organization down because they kept giving me fast race cars week after week after week, and we weren't able to win. So today is gratifying, and today I feel like I finally gave Stewart-Haas Racing and all the guys on the Smithfield team what they deserve.
So not only did you make the playoffs and make that goal, but now you're in the round of 8. So what more do you want to see out of yourself, your team, to not only make it to Homestead, but also have a shot if you can make it to Homestead?
Yeah, I honestly think we are somewhat of a dangerous team just because we've been flying under the radar all year long, and even going into the playoffs, I feel like we've been flying under the radar. We went to Vegas and had a great day at Vegas and ran up front, got some damage, fought back from that and finished good. Went to Richmond, and a place where we knew we had to run good to put ourselves in position to go to the Roval and make it to the next round, and we did exactly that. We qualified up front. We ran second and third in the stages, finished the race third or fourth. I don't even remember where we finished, but it put us in position to go to the Roval and be somewhat conservative. And then all hell broke loose at the end of the race, and next thing I knew, I was 6 points out, and we were able to get into this round. And then coming into this round, I felt like the tracks lined up really well for me. I love Dover. I absolutely love going to that place. It's one of my favorite racetracks. I enjoy and like coming to Talladega. I feel like it's an opportunity for me to go win. And I really enjoy Kansas, even though I broke my back there. I remember in 2012 showing up there in October and dominating the beginning part of that race until I blew a right front. And that was the first time in my career in the Cup Series at Kansas that I had led any really laps to speak of and to be running up front. And so from that point forward, I've always enjoyed Kansas and been excited about going to that racetrack since that day. So I look forward to all the rest of these racetracks. I feel like they kind of suit well for me and my race team.
We're going to go up to the press box.
Lee Spencer, RacingVoice.com. Congratulations. Wanted to know, first of all, what was going through your mind when you saw Kurt having to punt and pull out?
Yeah, so going down the back straightaway, I saw the 17 break free from the pack, and I kind of backed up to him a little bit, hoping that when he got to me that he would be able to give me a push. And when I backed up to him, as he got closer, my RPMs just started going way up, and I started coming with a huge run to Kurt. And I felt like Kurt was a little bit of a sitting duck at that point anyway. I don't know that I would have beat Kurt, but it would have been exciting. We'll just say that. But when I got to his right rear quarter panel and pulled up next to him, I heard his motor just start to sputter. And then I knew. I drove past him, and my spotter told me that he was running out. And at that point, it was just all eyes on my mirror and making sure that I blocked any runs that were coming to try and be the first car across the finish line.
And secondly, Kyle Busch said that this race had a feeling like none other he had ever seen at Talladega. And throughout the course of the race, we would see like 3 major-sized packs. It just wasn't one, big pack or, 2 packs. It was like, different groups around the track. What do you think it was that caused that? What was the handling like inside the race car? Thank you.
Well, yeah, the cars are going so fast. We're going so fast, and the cars are a handful. When you get in the pack and you're running 205 mile an hour, the cars are light on their feet. They're dancing around. They are a handful, and so you just as you get single file. It's the shortest way around the track on the bottom, and we're going so fast that the bottom lane just prevails. And we saw that even in the spring race. You look back at the spring race, and the bottom lane was the dominant lane just because, and it broke up. The pack broke up the same in the spring race. But in the spring race, everybody wasn't as organized as far as the teams, and our team, specifically wasn't. It was kind of a free for all, and Kevin had some issues handling wise. Kurt ran up front and then had some pit road issues. We had issues in qualifying, so we had to start last. Clint rode around to play it safe. So there's a lot of differences and varying strategy when we were here in the spring. And this time we came and brought 4 amazing race cars. And as an organization, we were just so committed to each other about running up front, staying up front, scoring as many points as we can, and staying committed to the bottom lane and to each other. And I feel like that strategy, honestly, was what obviously won us the race. I think our cars were so fast that as long as we stayed single file and all 4 of us lined up, nobody could get that outside lane working to go up there and challenge us. A couple of times on restarts, some guys got close and tried to make runs at it, but we just kept staying committed and working together. And everybody else couldn't do that. Everybody else was racing for position, and they would get 2 and 3 wide and stall their runs, and then we would be able to drive away.
Mike Massey with FrontStretch.com. Congrats on the win. I got 2 questions for you. First off, I noticed Tony Stewart was talking to you for a long time before the race. What was he saying to you? Anything that applied to today's win?
Yeah, he every time I've seen him lately, he just keeps telling me, "Goose Fraba." He keeps telling me just to calm down, take deep breaths. He's like, "You're gonna win." He's like, "I promise you." He's like, when the day I told you I was gonna hire you, I knew you were gonna win races for my company. He said it's gonna happen. You just have to keep putting yourself in position, and you keep putting yourself in position, and I promise you it will happen. And he kept telling Johnny the same thing. He was telling Johnny, like, just keep doing what you're doing. Don't doubt yourself. Don't second guess yourself. Keep putting yourself in position, and it will happen.
Okay, and the second question, you talked about Kansas a little bit already, but obviously that was the lowest point of your career was there last year, and then now you've just experienced the highest point of your career, winning to move into the round of 8. So just how sweet has that redemptive story been, and how much more does that fuel you to win next week?
It does. I'm fired up about going to Kansas next week. It's gonna be fun. We're gonna go there with no pressure at all, and one thing on our mind, and that's to go win, and to try and get some stage points and bonus points and get ready for that round of 8. And so for us, I think. That's our mindset, and that's a really fun mindset that I have never experienced in my entire career. I've always went to the racetrack every single weekend, anxious and focused and concentrated and nervous about what if, and I hope we run good, and I hope we have a shot to win. And this weekend at Kansas, for us, nothing really else matters other than going there to win.
We're going to go to Kelly and Jerry on the far left side, and then to Dustin.
Kelly Crandall, Race.com. So, Aric, you finally get over the hump with the win, and you transfer to the round of 8. Is there a way to prioritize what feels sweeter at this point?
The win. The playoffs, that's pretty sweet too. But just going to victory lane, man, to win for Smithfield, taking a chance on supporting me and this organization at Stewart-Haas Racing, to win for Tony Stewart and Gene Haas, to believe in me and give me this opportunity, and for everybody that's helped me along the way in my career, to be in this situation, and to last year think about potentially my career ending and never knowing if I was good or not. I feel like I always had equipment as an excuse. And when I showed up to Stewart-Haas Racing, that was no longer the case. I did not have that as an excuse. I've got the best team in the garage. And so for me, it was up to me. It was time to go do my job and see if I'm good enough. And so coming so close so many times this year, it's made me think and long and hard about myself and am I good enough, and why do I keep why do I keep losing when I've been in position and had opportunities to win. And I've been hard on myself, and so to win, that was the most gratifying part. The playoffs and transferring to the round of 8, that's secondary. Just going to victory lane and getting that gratification and giving what I feel like my team deserves. They bring incredible race cars to the track every single weekend, and they deserve to win. And all of my teammates have won, except me. So today was our day.
Having said that, you just talked about the equipment and not having an excuse, wanting to find out if it was you or whatnot. So when you come into this year, were you embracing that challenge, or were there doubts as well?
No, I came into it embracing it. Like I knew, the best thing, I talked about it with my wife before the year even started. I knew that going into this year, no matter what happened, for the rest of my life, I'll be able to lay my head down on the pillow at night and know that I had the best race cars, the best opportunity, and I either got the job done or I didn't. And so far this year, I feel like I've been close to getting the job done, and I feel like we continue to get better and better as a team. I continue to get better and better as a race car driver. I put a tremendous amount of work and effort into being the best that I can be, and to see it come to fruition is pretty gratifying.
I'm going to go to Jerry, Dustin, and then Jim.
Jerry Jordan, kickingthetires.net, PRN. 7 days ago, I stood next and talked to you on pit road, that emotional roller coaster. You said you were over with it by Tuesday, but when you were on the last lap there and you were looking at Kurt, were you wondering and if something else could go, or if you were going to run out of fuel or anything like that? What was that like going to, taking that checkered flag after last week?
Yeah, I knew going into the restart. Well, first, to answer your question about last week, I really was over it by Tuesday. I was bummed out about it Sunday night pretty bad. Johnny came over to my house after the race, and we sat in our basement and had a few beers together and just talked and said, hey, we just got to keep doing what we're doing. Like, if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But we're going to keep putting ourselves in position, and they're going to know we're there. And so that was good, and that was good for us to kind of, have that moment, and kind of sulk and pout together. And then when Monday came, it was over. It was time to go to work and get ready for the next race, get ready for Talladega. And Tuesday morning, I got to the shop bright and early, and all of our focus and attention was on Talladega. I had forgot about Dover. I didn't care about Dover anymore. I couldn't go back. I couldn't change it. I couldn't fix it. It was time to go to Talladega and do what we needed to do to. Honestly, I was hoping to win, but my main focus was to come here and score as many points as we possibly could to go to Kansas and give ourselves a fighting chance.
We're going to go to Dustin and then Jim.
Dustin Long, NBC Sports. Aric, with how you've run, particularly lately, and being so close getting the win, how has that, I don't know if the word is proved, shown, reaffirmed to you being a championship contender as opposed to just somebody else? And what does that mean to be able to show that to your team? Well, your guys, I'm sure, believe in you.
Yeah.
When you have close call after close call and don't finish it off, what is this run? What does today mean for you personally and for the team in that sense? So
on that note, I'll go back to Sunday night and Johnny and I in my basement talking and stuff, and I said that very thing. Like I told Johnny, I was like, the thing that hurts the most is that we keep getting close and being in position, and Loudon, having what I felt like was the dominant car, and we lost a couple spots on pit road, but still it was up to me to get a good restart and give ourselves a chance to go win, and I didn't. And then Dover after Harvick has his tire issues, we're the next best car, and we're dominating the race, coming to less than 10 to go. Looks like we're going to win the race. Next thing you know, we're lined up 6, and I've still got the opportunity to put ourselves in position to win, and I went for it. And after Loudon, I was so gung-ho going into that restart at Dover, saying I am not going to lose this race. And I got over-aggressive and made a mistake off of 2, and the car bottomed out, and I hit the fence and then came down and hit Brad. And that was so disappointing because I felt like it was on me again. We had the best car. I was in not the best of position. Starting 6th with just a few laps to go is not the best position. I would have loved to have been on the front row, but Johnny made the call for 4 tires to put me on offense to go be aggressive, and that's exactly what I went and did, and it didn't work. And so we had that conversation in my basement about, man, I'm sorry. You guys are giving me incredible race cars, and I don't want you to give up on me. I don't want you to doubt. Like, I need that from you guys. And him and every single person on my crew has done nothing but re-emphasize that they believe in me. They know that we're going to win together, and to just keep putting ourselves in those positions. And for that today, like, what a relief to see all those guys in victory lane and give each and every one of them a hug, and to say we finally did it. That was pretty special.
Let me ask you this real quickly. Is obviously, I know it helped that what happened to Kurt, but in that sense, what do you feel like you did right today as compared to what didn't go right at Loudon, what didn't go right at Dover? What did you do right in putting yourself that happen, or is this more circumstances and you still have to be able to prove to yourself in those other situations that when it's on your shoulders you can handle it?
Yeah, I think today was circumstantial. You look at past results at Daytona and Talladega, and you look at green, white, checkers. Usually the winner's going to come from the first two rows. I mean, that's pretty much a given. Everything behind that is chaos, and you don't know what to expect. But the winner typically comes from the first row, maybe the second row. So I knew going into that restart today that we had a shot. It was going to be tough. I knew my teammates were really, really fast, and I was going to have to beat them. And I didn't know how I was going to do it, and I didn't know if I would do it. And today, circumstances just played out and went our way. There's been so many times that it hasn't gone our way. I think back to Chicago. There, I felt like we definitely had the dominant car. I raced Harvick heads up, and we outran him. And we had loose wheels and ended up going 2 laps down, and that one, got away from us. Circumstances. Loudon, you can blame it on circumstances. You go to Dover, you can blame it on circumstances. But today, circumstances were, went our way, and things worked out. So, I the only thing I can attest it to is that God just kept telling me to be patient.
We'll go to Jim.
JimMutterMotorsport.com. Sort of along the same lines, you've talked about the enormous opportunity you had to go to Stewart-Haas Racing, but can you talk a little bit about being part of an organization this season that has all 4 cars have won races, one guy has won 7, all 4 have a very plausible chance to continue advancing in the playoffs and maybe make up the championship 4, and the 4 of you guys together basically dictated the flow of a restrictor plate race today. I mean, I know you knew you were going into a great situation, but is there a situation in this sport better than this team right now?
No, absolutely not. There's no better team in the garage area than our race team. I would put our race team up against any team in the garage, hands down. I've been around the sport for a long time, and I've been able to see inside of different organizations. I was with Gibbs early on in my career. I've had the opportunity to work with Hendrick Motorsports when I drove for Dale Jr. in the Xfinity Series, and I did the baby watch stuff for Jimmy and got, full access and was in their shop, in the 48, 88 shop all the time, sitting in their hauler, go through their debriefs, all of the above. Got full access to that. When I was first with Petty's, had an alliance with Roush, and seen the way they operated and worked. And so I've been around a lot of different organizations and some of the best. I've never, ever seen an organization with so many people pulling the rope in the same direction as Stewart-Haas Racing. I mean, all 4 crew chiefs are bought in. I mean, there's completely open notebook. The teams, the employees, like everybody wins. When our cars win, everybody gets a bonus, right? When Stewart-Haas Racing, which we've done a lot of, and our employees are making bank this year on the bonus program. So I've been so amazed. That's one of the things that I think has probably been the most eye-opening for me. I've been around the garage a lot, and people are kind of open notebook, but that you're still going to have to race that guy and that teammate. And so you give 90%, but 10% you keep for you and your team. And from everything that I've witnessed, that doesn't happen at Stewart-Haas Racing. We take and build the 4 best race cars we can. Everybody's bought in, and then the 4 of us go race it out and see, may the best man win. And I think that is what makes our organization so incredible.
Anything final for our race winner? All right.
Yeah.
Congratulations, Aric. Have
Thank
fun next
you.
week.
This is WFO Radio.